Representative Frey.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. On the whole appointing thing, I was surprised the other day when I saw that the House Senate Democratic leadership decided to appoint mayors. I was a little disappointed and actually was going to call Representative Cafaro and say, look, you want to appoint a mayor first selectman instead of me, you can take my appointment back. But in actuality, it doesn't really matter. We need to work together, and we've got, you know, Mayor Curry and Senator Finch and Mayor Boughton are former legislators. We have a Mayor DeStefano who certainly can communicate with his appointing authority, as well as the great number of legislators that are represent your city. So I think we do need to all work together. I represent a small town, like many of your mayors, first selectmen here. It happens to be and someone considered an affluent community. Now, when I campaign, my constituents or my opponents remind me that we get about 3 cents back in every dollar that we send to Hartford. So it's a little bit different situation because our cost of education is borne almost entirely by the residents through the property tax. But after a couple of years, when I was first elected 11 years ago, I was trying to get a better understanding of what the cities go through versus what, you know, how I lived in Ridgefield. And I spent a good 5 hours with Mayor Mike Peters, God bless him, taking me around Hartford, to Frog Hollow and the North End, and of course we ended up at Carbone's, I think. But the issues obviously that a city grapples with is different than the one that I go home to every night. And I'm looking at the list of proposed mandate reliefs that have been suggested before, and talking to Mayor Boughton and Mayor Finch. You know, allowing municipalities to post legal notices rather than publish them. Now that would save, and we could do that if we go in December 15th, make it effective January 1st. It wouldn't cost the state anything, it wouldn't cost towns anything, or very, very, very little. It would be good cost avoidance.
That would save about 90, my town, $80,000, I think.
$80,000. So I leaned over.
Which we cut down by doing it to a weekly.
I said to Mayor Finch, now Ridgefield, you know, we have legal notices too. We don't have quite as many as some of the cities. But I asked Mayor Finch, what does it cost Bridgeport? You know, tens of thousands, and he said yes, but it's got to be way more than that. And I look at the Connecticut Post, and you know, I pick it up on Sundays or whatever day legal notices are in, and there are pages and pages. Same thing when they even register the Hartford Current. That's something that we could collectively do together. Now, there are some people who aren't going to like the idea of losing that revenue, understandably. Well, I didn't. Anyway. But we can fix that, and it's not going to cost the state. It's not going to cost them.
The newspaper could buy.
This is true. This is true. The same thing with how the towns handle tenants and homeowners who are evicted. Now that happens, thank goodness, very rarely in Ridgefield. Although it does happen, we just had a tax sale of 4 properties a month ago. First time anyone can remember us having a tax sale. But for a city like New Haven or Bridgeport or Danbury or Hartford, that's got to be a huge expense. We could fix that if we work together. You know, there are some people who, I mean, that's a no-brainer to me, both of those issues. We should be able to fix that immediately. And those are real cost savers to the municipalities. You know, we should do that December 15th if we come in. We should all work together on that. And lastly, I'm not sure what our meeting schedule is. I know in my town, Ridgefield's kind of unique. It's with 10 Republican. We have a Democratic first selectman. We have for a long time. We work well together. And I'm going to communicate with him what we're talking about here today. I'm assuming that everybody here will talk to their counterparts. But in my town, I hear most about mandates from my school board, actually, than my first selectman. I remember a few years ago when, or maybe 15 years ago, probably Mayor Curry would remember when ECS came in as the funding source for schools. The town of New Canaan was receiving something like $29,000 towards their school budget back then. It was a very, very small amount. And they half-kiddingly suggested looking into, could we not take that money and not go by all the mandates that the schools have to abide by. So I'm suggesting perhaps at our next meeting we can invite the Connecticut Superintendent Association or CABE for, if they can keep it brief, but a report on the issues that they face. Because I know once or twice a year I meet with my school superintendent and my school board or committee, and they're very, very, very concerned about mandates. And in my case, it seems to be much more so than the town. I mean, we all need to work together, and that includes the group that are not seated at the table here today. Thank you.